Tonight, George H.W. Bush is laid to rest.
The Oswego State commencement speaker is announced.
And Governor Cuomo announces an award for the Department of Environmental Conservation.
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Seth Prevertil.
And I'm Madison Donor.
Family and friends remembered former President George H.W. Bush today in a service at the Bush's Family Church in Houston, giving the nation a final farewell before he began his journey to his resting place.
Camila Burnell has the highlights from College Station, Texas, home of the George H.W. Bush Presidential Library, where the president will be laid to rest this evening.
The life of George H.W. Bush, honored on Thursday by friends and family.
George Herbert Walker Bush is the most gracious, most decent, most humble man that I will ever know, and it's the honor of a lifetime to share his name.
Former Secretary of State James Baker delivered a eulogy for his best friend, recounting the president's many accomplishments.
After becoming the youngest naval aviator, he served in increasingly responsible positions on behalf of his country.
And giving insight into the man behind the presidency.
George Bush was a charter member of the greatest generation.
His humor.
He would look at me and he'd say, "Baker, if you're so smart, why am I president and you're not?"
And humility.
Be kind to people, he would say. And he was.
The state funeral culminating this afternoon with a journey aboard the Bush 4141, a rare locomotive commissioned in 2005 to honor the president. The train, once operated by Bush himself, carrying the statesman to his final resting place at Texas A&M University, where he'll be laid to rest beside his late wife Barbara and their daughter Robin, marking the end of a life, but not a legacy.
Because our glory, George, was to have had you as our president and as such a friend.
In College Station, Texas, I'm Camila Burnell.
The funeral train traveled 70 miles through Texas before arriving at Texas A&M University.
Now let's take a quick look at the weather with Storm Team 10 meteorologist Khalil MacGyver. Khalil, how's it looking out there?
Well, currently right now it's a bit cold, and we just had a bit of snow come down in the past half hour. Nature's kind of getting a little bit of a head start on whiteout weekend. So let's take a look at our current temperatures across the region right now. You'll mainly see that we're hovering around the freezing mark. We're through temperature around 32 degrees here in Oswego, but the main story tonight is the snow and the watches and warnings associated. Those on your screen right now, a winter weather or winter storm warning for Jefferson and Lewis County, as well as a winter weather advisory here in Oswego. Here's a look at that radar and that quick burst of snow that just came through in the past half hour. But if you were up towards the Watertown region, you'll notice that you had quite a bit of snow, with reports lately up around 16 inches from the Watertown region. As far as everything else, what's in store for this weekend, I'll have more of that after I throw it to Eric Drewitz in the newsroom. Eric?
The other week, I was able to discuss the Bicentennial Forum with the director of the New York State Canal Corporation, Brian Stratton. Let's take a look. Brian Stratton, former Oswego State student, came in to talk about his visit in September concerning the Bicentennial Forum and the Erie Canal.
Well, the New York State Canal Corporation oversees the New York State Canal system. It includes the Erie Canal. It also includes the Oswego Canal.
At the Bicentennial Forum, they discussed their Downtown Revitalization Initiative program.
And this is a program that is put in place for upstate communities, cities and villages in upstate and each of the 10 economic development regions across the state to compete for a $10 million investment to redo their downtowns to make them attractive live, work, play communities. So we brought 4 of the communities that are along the canal system here to SUNY Oswego, my alma mater, to talk about how they are transforming, how this investment is transforming their downtowns, and how the canal is really part of that program to really transform their canal. So we talked about Oswego, Rome, Geneva, and Watkins Glen. And of course, Rome is in the Mohawk Valley. Geneva is in the Finger Lakes region, right at the northern end of Seneca Lake. And Watkins Glen is at the other end of Seneca Lake, is actually part of the southern tier. And we heard individual presentations from each of those four communities, and they talked about how that investment's helping them and how being a canal community helped them to win their DRI designation.
To learn more about the DRI communities and how you can help them, go to canals.ny.gov.
So those are great opportunities to really learn, and they can always email us too.
To learn more about the corporation and its history, make sure you check out canals.ny.gov.
City lawmakers decided to keep a licensing requirement for private snowplow drivers in Syracuse, but adjusted to the cost and rules for the license. The license requirement has been on the books for years, but has hardly been enforced, and not many plow drivers have registered for it. The Common Council voted unanimously to lower the fee for a license to plow snow from $250 to $50 for one truck. Each additional truck in a fleet is $10.
Howard Gordon, a longtime executive assistant for the president at SUNY Oswego, will speak on December 15th at the college's December commencement. Gordon retired earlier this year after more than 40 years of employment. Gordon earned his bachelor's degree in history from SUNY Oswego in 1974, followed by a master's degree in English from Oswego in 1978. The graduation ceremony will begin at 10 a.m. in Marano Campus Center and will broadcast live locally on Spectrum as well as on the college's website.
The town of Hannibal will receive a $5,000 grant for efforts to reduce both energy and energy costs. The grant comes after the New York State Research and Development Authority named the town a clean energy community. Hannibal's town supervisor Virginia Wilbur says the grant will be used for lighting that needs to be done, including the installation of new LED lights in the town's municipal buildings. The grant is part of the governor's 2016 Clean Energy Communities program.
Governor Cuomo announced the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has awarded $2.6 million in community impact grants to 28 organizations. This funding will support projects addressing environmental and public health concerns in low-income and minority communities across the state impacted by environmental issues. The organizations receiving the funding will enhance and clean up vacant lots, create organic urban farms, improve local waterways, and expand environmental education and engage the young people with green jobs and more.
New York State lawmakers will receive their first pay raise in 20 years. Legislative pay will increase to $130,000 annually, marking over a $50,000 pay raise for lawmakers. The pay increase will make members of the New York legislature the highest paid state lawmakers in the country. Members of the legislature say their compensation should increase due to the inflation and work they do outside of the legislative session. The raise will be implemented over a 3-year period.
Medical bills of nearly 1,300 upstate New York residents have been paid off by the efforts of 2 women working with an organization buying medical debt bundled for pennies on the dollar. Judith Jones and Carolyn Keenan of Ithaca raised $12,500 last summer and donated it to RIP Medical Debt. The New York-based not-for-profit corporation buys and forgives unpaid medical debt across the U.S. for those in need. The group used the donation to pay off medical debts totaling in $1.5 million.
Coming up later tonight, the House and the Senate vote to pass a short-term spending bill.
And an American Catholic priest in the Philippines is arrested.
This is WTOP 10 Nightly News. We'll be right back.
Guys, I don't feel so good. Shouldn't have had that chili for lunch.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all, we approach reemployment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
Donate to Goodwill, where your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Welcome back to WTOP. I'm Storm Team 10 meteorologist Khalil McIver with your weather headlines and your weather for Thursday night here in Oswego. So today we experienced a little bit of snow in the past half hour, dumping little bit of snow, but for the most part it was mainly dry. But we're going to be taking a look at whiteout weekend for the first time here tonight. But here are the weather headlines: snow ending after midnight, and then tomorrow a bit of wind and sun, and then the lake effect returns potentially for the big game. So here's a look at our current radar. As you can see, we had this lake effect and cold front move through the area a bit in the past half hour or so, dumping about a trace to around a few tenths of an inch on campus. Visibilities were a bit reduced towards as you were probably going through that area. But if you were experiencing the weather towards Watertown, you experienced up towards over an inch, or excuse me, a foot of snow today. So here's with the futurecast. We're going to be timing things out for you. Tomorrow morning around 9:30 a.m., we're potentially experiencing another wave of lake effect snow with temperatures around the mid-20s. And then as we head towards the afternoon, getting ready for the first game of whiteout weekend, we're mainly clear with the temperatures still hovering around the 24-degree mark. And then as we head towards the other night, the lake effect machine once again begins to fire up once again. So if you're heading towards the campus center in Oswego, you're going to want to, on 2 p.m., you're going to want to bundle up a little bit and be warm. And as the game progresses towards 8 p.m., the lake effect band moves towards our south, but you can expect some possibility of snow on the ground during the game. So here's a look at how much snow that we could potentially be seeing overnight. Possibility of maybe 1 to 3 inches, and if towards the Watertown and Jefferson Lewis County areas, a bit probably around 6 to 12 inches as well. Here's a look at your futurecast. With these lake effect events, another thing to expect is the winds gusting. As we head towards the overnight on Saturday, the winds begin to die down, but as that lake effect begins to fire up once more, we could expect wind gusts up to towards 24 to possibly 30 miles per hour. So here's a look at tonight's forecast. A possibility of snow with winds out of the southwest from 15 to 20 miles per hour. And then tomorrow, we can expect some sun with winds out of the northwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour, with temperatures reaching around 25 degrees. And then tomorrow night, for the first night of whiteout weekend, a chance of snow with winds out of the northwest once again. So here's your 7-day forecast here on WTOP. You can expect temperatures to reach 25 degrees with a chance of flurries on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we begin to warm up and become more seasonable for the area. And then as we head towards the middle of the weekend, Thursday, for finals week, we begin to warm up. Stay tuned for more news and sports after the break. You're watching WTOP 210 News at 9.
all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Want to know all the latest things pop culture? Tune in to Let's Talk About It every other Monday at 10 p.m.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
That was pretty good today. Pretty good. You know, yeah, I thought he called a pretty fair game.
Come on, man. That was a weak call. Yeah, man. That ref is totally soft.
And welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. Wisconsin's Republican-held state legislature passed a series of measures in response to the incoming Democratic governor and attorney general. According to a CNN report, the state is expected to reduce the number of early voting days and restrict gubernatorial influence over an economic agency. The report also says Wisconsin will mandate legislative backing for decisions typically made by the attorney general and governor. The legislature will also be able to defend state law in court by hiring its own lawyers.
YouTube has deleted thousands of videos promoting academic cheating in the last week after a BBC trending investigation. The videos all advertise essay writing services, which can lead to serious penalties for students. Facebook and Google have been asked by a regulator to stop making money from adverts for these companies. All the social media companies say they are taking steps to discourage dishonest behavior.
U.S. authorities have charged an American Catholic priest who was arrested in the Philippines on suspicion of sexually abusing boys. 77-year-old Kenneth Bernard Hendricks is from Cincinnati and has lived in the Philippines for decades. 10 accusers have now come forward and claimed Hendricks sexually abused them as boys. U.S. Attorney Benjamin Glassman says Hendricks groomed young children who were interested in getting involved in church activities.
2 Filipino boys went to the Philippine National Police and they alleged that they were being sexually abused by a priest in the town of Naval in the Philippines. After some investigation, the Philippine National Police contacted Homeland Security Investigation in the Philippines. HSI then investigated, and as of the time of the execution of the affidavit in support of the criminal complaint, they had spoken to 5 Filipino boys who told them that they had been sexually abused by the local parish priest in Naval, Kenneth Hendricks.
Hendricks' lawyer in the Philippines says the priest maintains his innocence. Hendricks also spent time in the U.S. Investigators are asking for public health in both countries.
5 people are now dead after an explosion at a plastics factory in the center of Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic. Authorities are continuing to remove rubble and search for more victims. Investigations are underway to determine the causes of what happened in the Palo Plas factory. President Danilo Medina expressed his condolences to the families of the victims through Twitter.
A bipartisan group of senators is preparing to take a stand against Saudi Arabia. During a meeting scheduled for Thursday, the leaders will work on a plan to rebuke the Saudi crown prince. John Lawrence reports.
Days after getting a CIA briefing on the murder of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi, some senators are ready to respond.
In a court of law, when you are in the room at the time of the murder, you're involved, you're knowledgeable. And in this case, the Crown Prince would have been in charge of it.
The group of Republican and Democratic senators say they're certain Mohammed bin Salman has Khashoggi's blood on his hands.
When I said if he went before a jury, he'd be found guilty in 30 minutes. One of my colleagues came up and said, no, 20.
There is no way that 17 people that close to that crown prince go to Turkey and murder a guy at a consulate and he not know about it.
The senators are trying to reach an agreement to pull back the U.S.'s involvement in the Saudi-led Yemen war and halt arms sales to the kingdom. This stance differs from the Trump administration, which downplays CIA reports of the Crown Prince's involvement.
I don't know if anyone's going to be able to conclude that the Crown Prince did it.
We have no smoking gun that the Crown Prince was involved.
The bipartisan plan may be on the floor by Monday. Meanwhile, other senators are calling for the CIA to brief the entire Senate on the Khashoggi matter. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Coming up in sports, Brian Rudman.
And Brian, can you give us a quick rundown?
Yeah, thanks guys. Tonight I'll be previewing Whiteout Weekend and I'll be letting you know which football games to look for this weekend. All this and more coming up after the break. You're watching WTOP 10 Nightly News. We'll be right back.
Hello?
Josh, the stream's not working. We need you to fix it right now.
The stream's down? I'll be right there.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Always. Lock it up.
Jake.
Hi.
What's wrong?
It's just a bad day, you know.
Oh, Creative Services can help you.
It's just a photo.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm your sports anchor, Brian Rudman. We got a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. And it's finally here, the biggest weekend of the year in Oswego sports, as it's Whiteout Weekend. The Oswego State men's hockey team will host the Potsdam Bears on Friday at 7 p.m., then the Plattsburgh Cardinals at 7 p.m. on Saturday for the Whiteout game. The Lakers come in at 5-2 overall with a 3-2 record in conference play after splitting last weekend's games, beating Brockport at home, then losing on the road to Geneseo. The Lakers will look to grab their first win on Whiteout Weekend since February of 2017. Be sure to catch all the action right here on WTOP 10. Moving now to the basketball court, as the Oswego State men's basketball team will hit the road this weekend for 2 SUNYAC games. Oswego has had a phenomenal year thus far, as they are undefeated with a 6-0 record. This weekend they will face off against Buffalo State on Friday and Fredonia on Saturday, as the Lakers look to remain undefeated. Headed now to the city of brotherly love, as Lincoln Financial Field will play host to the 119th Army-Navy football game this Saturday. This year, the matchup will feature an Army Black Knights squad that has had a phenomenal season thus far, currently sitting at 9-2, going up a Navy midshipman team that has a disappointing year, having a 3-9 record. Also on the line this weekend is the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy, something Army can secure for the second year in a row with a win on Saturday. Moving now to the pros, as it will be a matchup of divisional rivals this Sunday in Buffalo as the Jets will visit the Bills. The Jets come in with a 3-9 record, having lost 6 in a row, compared to the Bills, who have a 4-8 record. This has the potential to be the first matchup between each team's prized rookie quarterback, as neither the Bills' Josh Allen nor the Jets' Sam Darnold played in the matchup earlier this year. Now we'll head to the Barclays Center for a good one between the Thunder and the Nets last night. Nets losers of 7 in a row. They're looking for a hot start. We're going to get Alan Crabb getting the putback dunk off of his own miss, getting the Nets started early as they're up 15 in the second. Now to the third, as it's going to be Crabb again finishing the alley-oop from D'Angelo Russell. Now in the fourth, it's Paul George, who has his name all over this one, hitting the three. And here he is again, cutting backdoor, finishing the alley-oop from Russell Westbrook. Now it's going to be George again, missing the three this time, but on Adams' rebound, he's going to put it back up and get to the and one. That bench is pumped. But the Nets will not go down easy. It's going to be Spencer Dinwiddie flushing down the beautiful two-handed slam to give the Nets the 5-point lead. Now it's going to be George in a 3-point game, fighting through the contact and getting the contested layup to go, showing off the muscles. 1-point game. No one would score for another minute 30. Thunder with the ball, trying to win the game. Finds George, pump fake, takes the shot, gets it to go. Thunder win it 114-112. They are now 16-7. Nets drop their 8th in a row, and it was Paul George's night as he had 47 points, 25 of which were in the fourth.
Crazy game there last night. The Thunder are on fire right now.
Yeah, they're really rolling. They're doing a great job right now.
Yeah, definitely not the same tale for the Brooklyn Nets.
No, tough 8 games. Injuries have really plagued them so far this year, but they got to find a way to get back on track.
Khalil, have you defrosted yet from that weather outside? It got a little snowy.
I'm pretty warm right now, so we're good for now. But as far as tonight, you can maybe expect a chance of some light snow showers going into the weekend. But tomorrow's looking a lot better, not as much of a chance of snow. But looking pretty good for the first game of whiteout weekend.
Yeah, really a whiteout, huh? Starting off on that note.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking like we're already getting the snow outside there.
Oh, definitely.
Glad they got your gloves out.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little concerned there with the cold temperatures going on. It's, again, another one of those times when the snow's coming right in time for a lot of people that are probably trying to go home this weekend.
Finals week.
But anyway, that's all we got for tonight. That's our report. Please stay tuned for the Lakeside View at 10.
Thank you for watching. Have a great night, everyone.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
Got your personal references, high school diploma or equivalent?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
It's right there.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
How do we afford all this?
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.